Today we are going to learn how to grow coriander and methi or fenugreek from seed. This is one reason why most people who say I tried growing coriander, it did not grow. Welcome to winter gardening with Lazy Gardener. Now Diwali is done and what it means is winter is here and one of the best season across India for growing anything. In a couple of months all your gardens would be filled with flowers and vegetables and herbs, and we are here to grow together. This video today we are going to learn how to grow coriander and methi or fenugreek from seed, and this time we are growing it as a herb. So we are growing it so that you can get produce, you can grow it big and you can use it in your vegetables and cooking. Very simple, very easy, join together and let's grow it. So let's start with the simplest. First, how can we grow methi? Take any pot, just any pot, right? And don't worry too much about anything. If you have an empty pot, just take the soil, loosen it a bit. Okay, so now I have a pot with the top layer is a bit loose, and what should I do? I'll take a handful of it out. So a handful of it I'll keep aside. And on the top, we are just going to spread some methi seeds. Now these are seeds that you already have in your house. Very easy to use them to grow. Now one of the things you have to remember here, especially if you have grown them as microgreens with us. Generally when we are growing as microgreens, we put a lot of seeds in a small space. This time we'll keep the density a bit lesser. So I'm going to still spread a bit generously, but not totally covering so that you can't see the soil. Okay. So this is what it looks like right now. Now what do? I like to just pat it down a bit. Just pat it down. This soil that we have taken out, we are going to use that to cover it lightly. And then we are going to water it. I'll just tell you how to water it when we are doing the coriander and this together. Let's keep this aside. Now one of the questions I get a lot is, what if I don't have pot? What if I don't have soil? How can I grow things? So I'm giving you an alternate method now. And for coriander, you can also do the same way as we did for methi, that is in a pot with soil. But what you can also do is you can take something like this, any recyclable material like your takeout dish, and you just create some holes at the bottom for drainage. Create multiple holes. I'm just using a pin and I'm creating these holes. Now cover it with coco peat or soil, whatever. You can cover it with coco peat, you can cover it with soil, whatever you have handy, just use that, but grow some greens. Coriander again, we have these seeds in our kitchen, right? But there is one important step, and if you miss this step, then you may not have a great harvest of coriander. This is one reason why most people who say I tried growing coriander, it did not grow, why it does not work. First of all, secret one, you have to break the seed into two parts. So you take these seeds and you break, it will split into two parts. Very important, because if you don't do that, probably you will not have a great growth or harvest or germination itself. Now, second very important step, soak this overnight. After you have split your seeds, soak them overnight in water. Now I've already done that. So I have these seeds that I soaked overnight. I'm going to use this, but once you do this, soak them overnight. And that's why you should start today if you want to grow tomorrow. Now very simply what we are going to do is, we are going to drain out the water from this. Just take a sieve and drain out the water. By the way, you can drink this water. This is very healthy. The same water in which you have soaked your methi, coriander seeds overnight. And then you take these seeds, put them on a napkin. So you have these seeds which are ready to be put in soil. So you can either put them in soil, or like me, you can put them here. Spread them, the same steps as methi that we did. Spread them around. Okay. Pat them down a little. Why do we pat the seeds down? What that does is, when they germinate and the first roots come, that root is going to go down in the soil. If we don't do the patting, then instead of the root going down, the root will stay there and the seed will start coming up. So to avoid that, it's a good practice to just pat down the seed and just put a thin layer of coco peat or soil or whatever you were using. Now ideally, you should do either multiple of these or a bigger container. How do you water your seeds? You have to be very gentle. And tomorrow I'll also share a tip on how to create a water bottle, modify it to sprinkle water. But in general, if you're using just a water bottle, put your hand in between the water stream, and this will allow the water to be very gradually flow onto the medium. What we want to avoid is that the seeds get disturbed by the pressure of the water. We should not do that. So even watering is very essential. Same thing, I'll repeat with this. Okay. Now some very important questions. How long will it take for these seeds to germinate? For methi, it would take about 2 days to 3 days. And for coriander, it can take up to 14 days, like 2 weeks. How moist or how often should I water while I've planted these seeds? Keep the layer moist. I know I always repeat that do not overwater your plants. But when you are growing seeds, anything from seeds, it's very important that you keep the seeds moist. So whenever you see the top layer getting dry even a bit, you put some water in. Very important. Where should you place these? Now, ideally you should place them in a place which gets light but not direct sun. Why not direct sun? Because that will just dry out the seeds and the soil much faster. But as soon as you start seeing some growth happening, move them to a place where they can get sun. And yes, depending upon the sunlight and how foggy it is and other things, your germination rate will differ from each other. And that is why it is very important that we all share our progress, so that we start tomorrow and all of us can see and understand and learn together on what is the expected time of growth. If you're doing anything wrong, just message me, tag me in any post where you have talked about growing your seeds. And if you have any issue, we will help you out with that. So this is coriander, this is fenugreek or methi, This is our first step in winter gardening, growing along with Lazy, growing with seeds. These are the two herbs that we are starting with. But all along the next 2 months, we'll be growing together. I hope you join us, and I hope you're happy winter gardening.